And welcome to another Thursday night, my favorite night of the week, as we bring you Waggoner Webcast live once again. And this time, Leonard and Lorena have broken free of Waggoner Guide headquarters. They're on their boat. We're going to get an update from them. Mark Bunzel also joining us. Hey, Mark, great to see you. We'll have your update here in a sec. And Patrick Noor in just a little bit. Going to be a fascinating conversation here. This is Waggoner Webcast Light, but I don't want anybody to think they're getting shortchanged because it's our shorter version this week. We've got a lot to talk about. And thanks to everybody for joining us coming in right now. If you have questions, please feel free to use the chat. If you have updates, things to share, want this to be as interactive as possible. And without further ado, we've missed seeing you the last couple of weeks. Mark, give us an update on the flotilla on the way to Alaska.
Well, Brian, can you hear?
Off and on, yeah. I think you're back, Mark. Go ahead.
We lost him there.
There you go. There's a live webinar for you. We lost Mark the minute we hit the air. So hey, while we wait for Mark to come back.
I'm here.
Okay. And if nothing else, Mark, and if we can't see you, maybe turn off the camera. Maybe we'll get a little better bandwidth there. But give us an update.
Well, the big news is there. I turned my camera off. Is that the Waggoner flotilla made it to Alaska just about 3 hours ago. We landed in Ketchikan. All the boats are tied up to the dock. People are off having dinner because it's an hour difference here in Alaska. So everybody made it safely, and we had.
Well, that's great to hear. Mark, we lost you again. If you can hear us, try and come on back.
There.
Okay.
Am I back, Brian?
We got you back now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was actually on the show last week that I could see you, but you guys couldn't hear me. So I'm glad the audio at least is coming through. But we had a fantastic time. We just saw a lot of bears this trip, where typically we see a lot of whales. Not as many whales, but lots of bears on the beach, walking the beach. And we had a fantastic time in Shearwater, which is where I was during last week's show. And then we went on to Refuge Rescue Bay, and then on to Windy Bay. And everybody was just incredibly impressed. We also did what I like to call our Christmas card shots, where all the boats lined up and we shot them individually in front of the Kynoch waterfalls and Kynoch Inlet. And that turned out to be just great. And we've got a bunch of great pictures. And I'm going to have to talk to Lorena, our managing editor, but I think we've got a shot in there that could be the next cover for the Waggoner Guide in 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Mark, we're looking at the pictures right now as you speak. And I mean, absolutely amazing waterfalls. And it's interesting, the bears you're seeing, and you've been up here a million times. It's interesting you're seeing so many bears.
Yeah, and we had a bear this morning actually 2 mornings ago at Low Inlet stand up on the beach and start swatting at one of the trees. And all of us on our boats are going crazy, spotting this, calling it out to others, and watching this on the beach.
Boy, that's
pretty
awesome.
unique.
That's awesome.
Yeah, weather's been great. We crossed today from Prince Rupert to crossing Dixon Entrance, and it was flat calm. It was just beautiful. And
well, Mark, we lost you again there. Maybe we'll give you a couple seconds to come back. Mark, can you hear us? Well, while we wait for Mark to come back, Leonard and Lorena, why don't you give us an update on where you're at? Obviously, you're not in the office for this episode, which is nice to see.
Not in the office. We got our work, got the boat packed today. Long day getting everything on board, and we're ready.
My name and for 6 o'clock.
Hey, Mark, we can hear you now. You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So I've got as one can tell, a rough connection here, but it seems to be sporadically working, and we'll just deal with it. But I'm sitting in the middle of Ketchikan, Alaska, and the Tongass Narrows and the Bar Harbor Marina.
Well, we appreciate the update. It sounds like it's been a great trip. I mean, you've made this trip so many times, and it sounds like this one ranks right up there.
It really does. It really does. And we had a great group of people on it. We've had our share of some little medical things to deal with, but everybody dealt with it great. And we're happy to be here. Next, we're going on to in 2 days. We're going on to Wrangell, Alaska, then Petersburg, then Pybus Cove, and then Juneau.
Hey, Mark, a question from Kevin here. How are fuel prices up there?
It's a good question. Today, I purchased over $4,000 worth of fuel for CMR, and the price was $5.25 a gallon in Ketchikan. Prices in British Columbia were higher than that, but $5.25 in Ketchikan.
Wow, thanks for answering that. We've got Leonard and Lorena as well, who are about to tell us that they are no longer anchored in the office. We have let them free. They are on their boat, and we want to get an update from them. What's going on with you two?
Well, go ahead. Well, the first one, actually, I'm going to key right off of, we're a little bit of out of order. That's why we're stumbling, but because Mark led into this with the fuel prices, we had an update on that too. We wanted to run down some of those. And kind of working from Ketchikan, since Mark started with that one, we had numbers that were consistent with that, about $5.20 a gallon on diesel fuel in Ketchikan. As you come back down south into BC, they get a little bit higher than that, and I'm being careful with this. So in the north end of Vancouver Island, for instance, your price up there is, and this is by the way in U.S. dollars, and it's per gallon, and it's $7.12 per gallon. And again, that's not Canadian dollars. I wish it were, but I already did the conversion on that. It gets even higher if you want to go to Canadian dollars, but about $7 a gallon, and that's on the north end of Vancouver Island. When you come back further south in the Vancouver, BC area, since it's a metropolitan area and they have additional taxes in there, you're running about $7 and almost $8 per gallon, $7.75 per gallon, with their carbon tax and a few other taxes they add on. Now, back to friendly numbers. Cap Sandy is running about just about $5.50, almost $6 per gallon when you include tax on it. And the cheapest one is, as everybody would guess, Des Moines Marina, and their cheap fuel down there, and that's it's just under $6 per gallon, and that's for diesel. The gas prices are running just about the same. In a few cases, they're a little bit less, and a few cases are a little higher. So that's your budget number for your fuel.
Yeah, but the cheap numbers there, I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, make sure you take that into account. And I appreciate you picking up on what Mark said. We are a little out of order, but I want to swing it back to you, Leonard, for the Arba update here. What's going on there?
Yeah, so the Arba is doing some work and getting awareness out there on what they're titling the pound sign Mind the Zone, and this is on Lake Union down in the Seattle area, and it has to do with the float plane landing area. This came in a few years ago for the float planes that are in and out of there, Kenmore Air primarily, but that's not the only one. And there's 5 buoys out there with lights that are triggered by the pilots of the float planes when they're taking off or when they're landing. And the problem is that there's great awareness with boaters about what these buoys are all about and the lights are all about. But the problem is that there's a whole lot of water users out there that are not necessarily boaters per se, but they're stand-up paddleboard people and kayakers and so on, and they're not aware of what those lights are all about. So there's a little bit over a year-long study, or I shouldn't say study, it's an awareness program, and that Arba, Recreational Boaters Association of Washington, they're going to be doing this, and they're going to be getting the word out to all the users on the water about these lights and the buoys that are out there and what they're for. And that when these lights come on and flash, that's to indicate that a float plane is landing, and to stay at least 200 yards out of that zone on either side of the lights, just to underscore there. And by the way, the Arba is doing the onshore portion of this. They wanted to be very careful to say that the Coast Guard Auxiliary will be doing some of the on-water work on this to get the awareness up on it.
So the funding came from RCO, Recreation Conservation Office of the state of Washington. So Arba is using this funding to basically through various media to get out the word of being cautious and understanding what these lighted area is in Lake Union.
Just to underscore that there's not a big understanding of what the lights and the buoys that hold the lights are all about. They apparently came out there one day and there was a small boat that was using the buoy for the light as a mooring buoy. And so they were tied to this buoy that's supposed to have a warning light to tell boats to get out of the way of the float planes, and it was used for mooring instead.
Yeah, anybody that's been in that area, I mean, or as we have many times, having a late afternoon happy hour there at Ivers, right, and watching the activity from everywhere coming through the cut and into that area or from overhead. I mean, it really is remarkable that we haven't had a major accident at this point. So it's great to hear that as we get active again here in this hopefully post-COVID world, that they are doing this. I mean, it's really important.
It is, and I forgot to mention also this, one of the other, it's an awareness and getting awareness out there of these lights. They're used from Memorial Day through Labor Day weekend. So again, they're year round, they're not there. You don't see the lights activated. So, and by the way, for the last COVID years, Kenmore Air hasn't been that active. And so a lot of people are probably forgetting what these lights were all about. And it is all about safety, just to make sure that the airplanes are not conflicting with the paddle boards that are out there.
Yeah, so much traffic right through that area. It's really important. Appreciate that update. And Lorena, what's going on with the boat-centric happenings?
Yes, we have several interesting news items. San Juan Preservation Trust. It's a nonprofit organization that purchases property throughout the San Juan for preservation purposes. Many times homesteads, they will donate the property to San Juan Preservation Trust. And they have just announced that they were successful bidders on a 58-acre property with over 1,800 waterfront shoreline. And the transaction is slated to close at the end of June. And the property is located on the north end of Orcas Island. It's important salmon recovery area. And eventually the property will be open for public access, but that probably won't happen for another 2 or 3 years. And they need to do planning and permitting and go through the project. So, but that's nice news, another property of interest for boaters and of course those on foot who like to hike.
And a number of their properties are already available in the San Juan Islands, are available for boaters. They're in the Waggoner, but there's a couple of them are just fantastic stops.
Great.
And in the Gulf Islands in British Columbia, the Hornby Festival, they are celebrating 40 years of the festival. They started back in 1982, and the festival runs July 28th through August 6th. And they have world-class performances there on the island at Rosemere Farm. So all outdoor concerts, and they also have an art show at the community hall. And we'll put the website on in chat so you can get tickets and learn more about that. And a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, we had Tula Foundation joined us as guests in the Hakai Institute. And they also have a magazine. So if you're interested in reading science articles, go to hackeymagazine.com. And they have a special event, online event that's coming up on Tuesday, June 7 at 2:30 p.m. And they're calling it Salt, Sweat, and Grit. It's a panel discussion on what drives us all to do adventuresome things. Why do we like to go out and have these adventures? And they have several guests. Paula Reed, who spent 10 months racing a yacht around the world, and she skied in the South Pole. Another guest is Carl Kruger. He was the first person to complete the race to Alaska on a stand-up paddleboard. And then Douglas Smith will also be joining them. It's his first time doing the race to Alaska. And of course, Race to Alaska goes from Fort Townsend up to Ketchikan, and it's either by hand powered, no motors are allowed. It's either sail or hand power. So it's quite an event, very grueling. And again, it sounds like an interesting program, and we'll put that website in the chat if you want to register to join them online and hear about why people are so adventuresome.
There's a question here from a viewer about transiting or BC, getting into BC. For medical reasons, you can't get vaccinated. And indeed, there are two answers to that. One of them is that you can transit through BC. So if you want to go from Washington to Alaska or the reverse, if you're not vaccinated, the transit through provision is still there. And you see our website, the waggonerguide.com website, and scan on that for transit through, and you'll see a full description. This was a program that was active in 2020 and also in 2021 season, and it's there again this year. We have confirmation that it's active this year. The second way is if you have medical evidence of the reason why you cannot be vaccinated, and then there is a provision for that, and I recommend go to the CBSA website, and there's some information on that one, and that's the Customs and Border Services Agency at Canada, and they have some information about how you need to evidence that. And there are some provisions. You have to do some quarantining and other testing that you need to do. But check that out with our website.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that, Leonard. I was about to ask that question. One more from Peter before we transition to our guest. Has anybody heard about Fury Cove, if it's closed, or any other popular anchorages in BC if they're closed?
Fury Cove is technically closed, and the island is open. So the island that Fury Cove is on is open, and that whole island is a marine park. And there are big Fry Pan Bay and Big Fry Pan Bay on the east side of that island are open for anchorage. But Fury Cove is closed, and it's not as we understand, it's not necessarily COVID related. It's rather, it has to do with tribal fishing and fishing seafood collection in Fury Cove and potential for contamination of that. So apparently that's why the Fury Cove is closed.
Okay. And what everybody wants to know, we've already alluded to the fact you're not in the office. Tell us what's up. Where are you going? What's the plan here?
We're north. So BC and up the Strait of Georgia and north end of Vancouver Island. It's Waggoner. Our work involves boating, so that's our job. Scouting
out all the wonderful places in British Columbia, the anchorages, marinas, and gathering what's changed and what's new and different. So we can put that in the next Waggoner Guide.
Well, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. I mean, you get to get back out again, and I know you love what you do. This is your passion. So we're excited to check in with you every week from here on out, and we'll hold down the fort here. Okay. And so you guys just do what you do, and we'll look forward to that. Mark will be coming back home here in the next couple of weeks as well. So lots to talk about here. And without further ado, Lorena, I'd like you to introduce this episode's guest.
Yes, we're so pleased to have Patrick Noor with us. He's the co-founder of DMS, Dynamic Marine Systems in Holland, and we so much appreciate him joining us because he is joining us from Holland, so it's after 4 a.m. for him, around 4 a.m. And his background is in marketing. He has technical training, and he's an experienced yachtsman himself. We met him at the Anacortes Yacht Boat Show and really enjoyed learning more about the latest technology in boat stabilization, what the options are, and the brand new basically invention that he's going to tell us about tonight. So welcome, Patrick.
Okay, thank you very much, Lorena and Leonard. It was really a pleasure to meet you on our Cortes Boat Show, and I'm really proud that I can tell something about myself. First of all, my name Patrick Noor. You already introduced me, all the way from Holland. We were very proud that we launched for the first time the best trawler stabilizer in the world on the Anacartes Boat Show. I'm here in Holland. I'm a passionate boat guy. I'm already in this business for, let me say, about 14, 15 years. And the last 10 years, I started my own company, with DMS. And before that, I was working in a company who was also doing stabilizers, the traditional ones. But maybe it's good that you show first our video, then everybody knows our mission and why we are passionate.
But sometimes that motion needs to be controlled. Genuine stability means optimal comfort for everyone on board, in all conditions, at any speed, at anchor, and for every size of yacht. Harnessing motion is an exact science, one that has to be translated into advanced technology, then patented and perfected by people that understand what it takes to achieve the perfect balance. DMS Holland, ahead in stabilization.
Thank you. That's always a nice introduction. This is on our website, dmsholland.com. So that's in a very short video what we want to say. We want to have for every boat owner the best solution. If the boat is small, medium or big, in the future, of course we are developing step by step new systems. And in the near future, we have for every boat the best solution and for every owner. And I think that is special of DMS Holland. And but what I want to tell, because that's new. Everybody knows fin stabilizers. Everybody knows gyro stabilizers at the moment. But I think it's totally new that they saw a rotor stabilizer, which is called the Magnus Master. And maybe you can first ask me some questions before I start to tell more about the Magnus Master, because I love to talk about it. I love it's a passion of us stabilizers, but I can imagine that it's new. So please give me a question if you have till now.
Yeah, let's start with what's different. Tell us what's different about it.
Yeah. What's different? The Magnus Master. I will share now a document which is showing you. Hope everybody can see it now. I think
we can. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what is different of this stabilizer? What I say, everybody knows fin stabilizers and everybody knows gyro stabilizers. A fin stabilizer is working like a rudder, but then on the side of the boat, and it's giving you a lift up and down when they are moving on a fin, on a shaft. This is a gyro effect, is a flight wheel effect, but this is called the Magnus Effect. So what you see here, if you have a boat like you see here, and the system is not used, it's in park position. So the rotor is like this, horizontal on the side of the boats. If you are cruising and you need the system, they are retracting like this. The water is floating over the tube, and because it's floating over the tube the tube can the rotor can spin 1000 RPM, and the water floating is this way. You see that you get a kind of speed up here and a speed down here. So you get a pressure up or a pressure down. And that's what's happening. And that, it made it so special because we can already give a very good performance on a low speed. And that's why we call it the best trawler stabilizer in the world. Because with fins, you need more speed. So what is really special, from 3 to 12 knots, yeah, it's really amazing what you can do. And that makes this stabilizer very special. Hello?
Leonard, any questions?
So Patrick, do I understand that it could be that one of the rollers is spinning one direction and the other roller is spinning the other direction to give the lift on the correct side of the boat, correct?
Yes, yes. So this is exactly happening because a boat is rolling to one side, and then you want to get the boat in the not rolling position. So it gives a force up and down. That's always what I say. It makes two movements, up and down, and so it's in the opposite directions what you create.
And
Hey,
I
lift.
understand.
Jeff's
I under-
wondering if there's zero speed stabilization, if you're just, sitting there.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Zero speed stabilization is really, that's why we also have gyros in our program. When you want to have the best zero speed, then a gyro is outperforming. There is no better system for zero speed than a gyro.
Okay.
But when you go from 3, 4, 5, 6 knots and up, then you are much better with a Magnus Master. That's also why we have different kind of systems. So for trawlers, they want to have the best systems for cruising, because mostly of the time they are cruising. If I hear your stories from everybody, and I was on Anacortes, everybody is cruising around the world and they want to see the world. And this is, yeah, great, because with this stabilizer, you have a great performance for underway from 3 to 12 knots. And that makes it very special.
Patrick, what's the impact on the drag of the stabilizer? Obviously, fuel costs are at all-time records right now. Do you have data to support what the drag is in terms of your fuel consumption?
Yeah. Do you still see me on the screen?
Yes.
I think I have here a fin. You always create, if you compare it with, of course, with a gyro, you have no speed lost because you have nothing under your boat. But with a fin, you also have drag. You need to create drag to make lift. And this is also the same with a rotor. The difference between a fin and a rotor is not, for example, with a rotor more than with a fin. The speed you are losing is about 0.3 knots. So yeah, compared to the speed of the boat, is that, yeah, you can say it's almost nothing.
What does something like this cost? I know it would probably depend on the installation, the size of the boat. What's generally speaking?
Yeah, we are talking about a 1-rotor system, a 2-rotor system, or 4-rotor system, because we can go from, let me say, 12, 30 meter. We always talk in meters, you talk in feet. So let me say from 40 feet still to 120 feet boats. That's a little bit the maximum. And then you need 4 rotors. When you talk about a 1-rotor system, installation, everything together, you talk about $60,000, $70,000 included installation. A 2-rotor system's about 110,000 euro, depending, of course, on the boat. But what also makes this system special, you can put the system where you want, because it's not creating, how you say that? With fins, if you put the fins back on your boat, you get steering effect. That's why fins are always in the middle of the boat. But this is creating a lift up and down, and that's why you don't need to put them in the middle of the boat. So you can also put them a little bit to the stern of the boat.
If any of you in the audience have questions, send it through the chats. Leonard and Lorena, any other questions?
And then electrical, that might be a challenge for installation for the Magnus Effect system.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah,
Can you repeat?
What the electrical power? What's the requirement for the system?
Yeah. Yeah, that's also a good question. The system is electrical, indeed. So we don't need hydraulics, we don't need a tank, we don't need a pump, we don't need a cooler. The engines are cooled by the water, because the engine is the shaft, which is driven directly by this engine, electro engine, which is inside the knee, is cooled by the water, so you don't need that. And the power consumption you need for one rotor is 1.5 kilowatts. So that's not a lot. So if you have a 2-rotor system, you're talking about 3 kilowatts. Another thing is that the system is retractable. So yeah, it's less vulnerable than, for example, with fins. You can hit something with fins because they're stacking out. This system you can retract under your hull. So yeah. There are a lot of advantages of the system.
I just ran kind of a cost benefit analysis on this, Patrick, and just wanted to ask you, from a sales standpoint, 100,000 ish euros is about $110,000. So obviously a pretty big investment here. From a sales perspective, when you're talking to prospective clients, how do you overcome that? I mean, is the benefit worth the cost?
Yeah, definitely. What I see more and more, I'm already in the business, in the stabilizer business for many years, is that more and more people want to have comfort. And at the time they invest in stabilizers, they don't care about wind, they don't care about waves. They go where they want, and it gives a lot of freedom. And yeah. Behind that, I always say it's not only the comfort, it is also safety. If you cruise the world, you don't want to overcome that the boat gets rolling and it gives you in difficult positions and everything is going to your boat, and money wise, of course, we are talking about people who really wants to travel with their boat all over the world, and they want to spend money on that. That's what we see, and if you compare it with other systems in the market, we are not more expensive. If you look at you compare it with gyros or with fin systems, it's not more expensive than that systems. But what is better is that you have a fantastic performance between 12 and 12 knots, between 3 and 12 knots.
How many installations have you done now worldwide?
Yeah, worldwide we started, of course, the company in Holland 10 years ago, and we did already more than 400 systems in Europe. Of course, first Holland, and in Holland we have also a lot of trawlers. Yeah. Then Europe, and now we are ready for America, and we already did our first installation in San Diego. And on our quarters, we saw a lot of interest. So I think for the trawler market, we are now there, and we are new, and we have a lot of unique selling points compared to other systems. So I think there is a great future for us. So that's why I'm also proud to open the market in America.
Great. One question from our audience is, how does the system measure the roll that is then used to control the system? And what kind of feedback are you getting in real time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There is, of course, this is electronic. When you see your telephone, you can also see and measure a kind of angle with your telephone. So there are very small components nowadays, and they are in our electronic box. So they measure, and they not only measure the angle, they also measure the angle velocity. Because you can make a very slow movement, but you can also make a fast movement. So if you measure that angle and you measure the angle velocity, then you can also calculate the acceleration, and that's called a three-term controller. So we do three-term controller, and we act on that. And of course, you don't feel it. The rotor is spinning very fast or slowly, depending what it must do, it do. And so you don't feel that. You just press the button, stabilize, it goes out, and it works. And so this goes very fast, and this is in of course an electronic loop all the time.
Now I know it's, what is it, 4:30 in the morning where you're at?
Yeah, it's 4:30 in the morning.
So we appreciate you being an early riser on a Friday morning in Europe to join us here. And I know before the show started, you had the demonstration behind you. Was there something you wanted to show us there in terms of how this operates?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So you can see me now, I think. So this is really a live system. The only thing is that this is a demo model, so that you can see that the engine is here on the shaft and on the rotor. So this is what is happening. Of course, this is one rotor, and yeah, you can have one rotor, or you can have two rotors or four. But if you press the button, then the rotor is going out from under your boat to the side, and then the water is floating over this tube. And okay, now it's in demonstration mode, so it makes 300 RPM. It's in demonstration mode, 300 RPM this way and 300 RPM the other way. But this is happening, and this is giving the forces all the time, up and down. If you press spark, immediately it goes in. So it's a very compact system inside the boat. It's also one of the arguments. And it's electrical. Yeah, very easy installation. And
So Patrick, how are boat yards learning to install? Do you help train them?
yeah, what we did in Holland, of course, and later on in Europe, we have dealers all over the world. And we have now also dealers in America. And they come for us for training. And so the first installation we did in San Diego, we did it with our people, and we trained the people there in San Diego. So the guy who's doing our systems in California, yeah, he's trained, and he not just sell it, he's also doing the installations. And because it's again a lot of money what people are investing, and it needs to be done very well, of course. But it's not a rocket science. You need to do it, and you need to weld, and you need to do cables, and you need to do electrics. So it's of course, yeah, people has to know what they do, and but yeah, we train them. Yeah.
Jeff Madera is wondering both 12 and 24 volt.
No, it's our two voltages. We have 24 volt for the screen, because you always want to see that the rotors are out or in. For example, if the 230 volt is away, then you want to see that the rotors are in or out. So that's why we make the two voltages, for the 24 volt for the display and the program, and the 230 volt is for the engines, moving it in and out and rotating the tube.
What kind of boat, what was the install in San Diego? Tell us about the boat.
Yeah, that was a Cape Horn trawler. But what we see for trawlers, yeah, it's a great system. I already tell that before, but we already did it in Europe, in Salines, in Grand Banks, in Flemings. We are now busy with North Havens. So these are really the boats where the system is perfect for. And yeah, there are a lot of trawlers. I don't need to tell you that in America, and that's why I'm so happy that we can launch it now in America. Because, to be honest, when you compare your market to the Mediterranean market, you see much more trawlers in America than, for example, in the Mediterranean. There it's all fast, and yeah.
Well, Patrick, this is intriguing. I know everybody who's watching is probably doing their homework here, and certainly could be a good investment for so many people who are watching. And my goodness, we appreciate you waking up in early morning hours to share this with us, and want to wish you the best of success with this product as you bring it to America. It's pretty exciting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And yeah, if there are no questions anymore, but please, and people can maybe talk later to me or ask me questions. Maybe I forgot to tell something. For example, one of the most questions you always get is if you get an impact, what's happening then? There are sharing pins, so they will not break. Only the sharing pins will break. So, and there is a safety that if you put your engine in neutral, that they also go automatically in. So I forgot that to say, but I can imagine there is more questions after this meeting. But yeah, please, I'm always welcome to tell everything about it.
I bet you are. We appreciate you joining us. And Mark is back with us. Mark, good to see you again.
Yeah, it keeps
Hello, Mark.
cutting out, but it's starting to rain here in Ketchikan like it always does.
Yeah, I bet. How long are you going to stay there before you head back now?
2 days, and then we go to Wrangell, then Petersburg, then Pybus Cove, and then Juneau.
Wow.
And then I fly out to New Jersey.
Okay. So it sounds like your signal is pretty solid right now. We got you back. And while we
For the moment, yeah.
give us another recap here. It sounds like it's been a phenomenal trip, and everybody who's been watching has been pretty excited to follow you and see this.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Patrick. This is very exciting technology, and I really appreciate your coming on to explain it to us. And it's going to be so fun to watch the development of this. And thank you
very
again.
much. Yeah, thank you.
We've good news is all the boats made it. We had a couple of little occasional mechanical problems that we were able to solve. But everybody had a great time coming up. The weather was fantastic. And this is a trip that everybody should have on their bucket list. And so I don't mean to be putting in too much of a commercial for next year's flotilla trip, but they're a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing them. And we do a lot of teaching. Today we were checking the weather and making our go, no go decisions. And it was just delightful.
Yeah, you're the expert on the weather. I mean, I'm fascinated, hearing you talk about the weather and educate everybody. And that's a whole nother episode all by itself. But it sounds like it's been overall just an overall great trip for everybody from a learning perspective. And I'm just fascinated to hear about the bears, and you've seen so many of them. I love those guys, and it sounds like that's been kind of a once in a lifetime deal.
It really is. And the one night where we were watching this mama bear and her 3 cubs, and then I got on the radio to tell the other boats about it, how special that was, because mama bears usually can only take care of 2 cubs. And the women on our trip objected when I told them that more than likely cub number 3, whichever one that is not going to make it. And I got booed over that one. They didn't want to hear that. So the alternate story we came up with, it was a very terrific and well-fed mama bear, and she was taking her cubs, and lo and behold, she had 3 healthy cubs.
Boy, that's great to hear. Hey, question from our audience in terms of internet and cell phone coverage on the way up there, say from Desolation North. What's the deal with that? Who are you using? Is there someone different? What's the best option?
It's been, to be honest, pretty spotty, as we can tell from my ability to join the show over the last 2 weeks. But we've been finding internet, and the truth of the matter is it's changing overnight. When we were in Buttedale, we saw the site where the fiber optic came right down the inside passage, came up to a station there, and it's going to continue down the inside passage to Clem-2, to Shearwater, even to Ocean Falls. And it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a life changer for these areas, that they have fresh water, unlimited fresh water. They have hydropower from the waterfalls, and now they have internet. As I like to say, the 3 things you need in life: water, power, and internet. And
more things on that list, Mark. I just saying.
Water, power, and internet. What did I miss?
Maybe wine. I'm just.
Oh, well, we found that yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm not going to make any comments about the selection of wines in Canada, but it's best to buy before you cross the border, and pay the duty if you have to.
Yeah, just visit Doug Charles at Compass Wines. There's a free plug for Doug before you take off.
That is, and Doug is the best in the business.
Well, it's great to see you, and can't wait to get a full recap on the trip and all the pictures when you get back. And Leonard and Lorena, want to wish you a safe passage as well on your way north. Thanks to you as well, Patrick, for waking up so early to share this with us, cutting edge technology. Our next program, Thursday night, a week from tonight, Tom Captain, VP of Princess Louisa Society, preserving an iconic boating destination. I know this is going to be a very popular show, one of the most popular destinations, and we're looking forward to that. Thanks to all of you for all of your contributions to the industry, and we'll see everybody again next Thursday evening. Have a great weekend and week ahead.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.